I think a lot of guys are lonely. Not alone, but lonely. And I believe there is a significant difference because you can be surrounded by people every day and still feel like nobody actually knows you. You can have teammates, you can have your classmates and peers, family, friends, and still go home at night feeling like you're carrying everything by yourself. I know that feeling, and I feel like a lot of other guys have also known that feeling. Throughout high school, I did sports like a lot of other people. I talked to people. I had that core group of people that I would hang out with and see every day. I knew a lot of other people besides them, but if I'm being honest, there were a lot of days where I would feel like I didn't actually have anyone. Not because the people around me were mean or cruel, and not because nobody cared, because I knew they did, because they would ask me things, but because I never really let people see me. I would never let myself be vulnerable enough to expose myself. I would joke around, and then some days I'd be a cornball, and I would always talk about the random stuff that we would talk about. But when it came to the deeper things, such as the things that scared me, my fears, what made me angry or angsty that certain day, how I would feel lonely or confused sometimes, I would keep that all to myself. And then after doing that, I'd sit there wondering why nobody understood me while I was self imploding. One thing I noticed reading through my series of journals that I wrote is that I spent years wanting connection while simultaneously pushing that same thing away. I would seek and want friends, but I'd never text people first or ask people to like conversation first. I'd want to hang out with people, and I'd never ask to do that. I'd want people to understand me, but I'd simultaneously never tell them what was actually going on and how I felt in certain situations. And then I'd wonder why I'd feel lonely. Looking back, that's a painful cycle because loneliness isn't always caused by being unwanted. It's caused by feeling unseen, misunderstood. And upon further reflection, I feel that these feelings are usually caused by ourselves, where we try to prevent ourselves from seeming vulnerable. We hide ourselves. I think a lot of guys can relate with this struggle because I feel like we've all gone through this. I feel all guys are pretty good at talking about things that are lighthearted, like for example, our hobbies and interests. It could be our favorite sports teams and how they're doing, or like our fantasy leagues. It could be games, whether it be like, oh, do you want to hop on a Fortnite, and then we spend hours talking about that. It could be whatever drama is happening at your school, or whatever work or classwork you're getting assigned. It could be if you're employed, your work, or maybe, like I said, your smaller hobbies. Maybe you're into fishing or cars or anything. You're very good at talking about, and you could talk about that for hours. You could talk about anything and everything except how we feel, except ourselves. Because the second the conversation becomes how are you actually doing, we freeze and we say I'm good or I'm fine. Everything's chill because even when we're not feeling that way, it's not that we're lying, it's just that we generally don't know how to explain what we're feeling. Or even worse, when everything's stressful and you break and you say you're angry, truth is you're not actually angry. It's just that anger is the closest thing you could point to because anger is such a strong and powerful emotion. And anger makes you feel strong. Because when you really stop and think about it, and you pinpoint it as being lonely or confused, those emotions of being lonely and confused are weak compared to saying, I'm angry. The problem is loneliness compounds. You start to question yourself. You wonder if people actually like you. You begin to compare yourself to everyone around you. You look at other people, what they got, their friendships, their relationships, their success. And eventually you stop feeling lonely because you truly become alone. You start feeling lonely because you believe something is now wrong with you. And I believe that's where it gets dangerous, not because you're physically alone now, even though you probably are at this point in self degradation, but because you begin to emotionally isolate yourself from the people you actually care about. And honestly, I don't have a solution to any of this. And I believe that anyone else who says they have a solution is lying to you. But I feel like that's the kind of point of the entire series of learning how to live and love life, learning how to be comfortable as a person and who you are, and learning how to let people know who you are as a person as well. And I believe it's at this point that loneliness starts to lose. Not the point when you suddenly make or time create and get millions or hundreds or thousands of friends. Not when you get a significant other, or not when your life becomes perfect, quote unquote. But when you slowly stop hiding who you are and how you feel, when you stop treating connection like something you're supposed to earn, and start realizing that being known and having connection is part of being human. And everyone's entitled to that, no matter who you are. Again, if you're feeling lonely and depressed, I don't have an answer for you. But I do know this. You're probably not nearly as alone as you think you are. And honestly, I don't think anyone feeling that truly is alone.